Okay, welcome back. Nick Ritchie here on the line with Tarryn Thompson, and she's had a big transformation with her own health, with her own body, with her own fitness, and probably a lot. She'll probably share with you how her mindset changed over the course of how she developed her own health. And she also runs a health business, which is more specific towards nutrition, where she operates that with her husband Nick Thompson, and they work a lot with dietitians and nutritionists, and they have a really big nutrition focus. But in her own personal life, fitness also plays a really big role, and she's going to share with you what her journey's been like from starting out, perhaps not taking care of her health in the way that she does now, and what her journey's been like all the way over to now. So, Tarryn, perhaps we can start off at the beginning, maybe how things were going for you before you, or maybe before you took action on your health in the way that you do now. So perhaps at a point maybe you'd tried a bunch of different things, or maybe you'd made attempts at getting healthier, or maybe just from whatever point you think is relevant where our members can relate, because a lot of our members some of them haven't started their health journey, or they're just starting, or they're just getting back on track. So perhaps you can start off at a point where maybe how your life was before you started to take care of your health in the way that you do now.
All right. It feels like a long time ago now. But yeah, first of all, this is really cool, by the way. I feel really privileged to be able to share my story with you guys. So thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to do that, Nick. And going back, well, I was really, really not conscious at all of my health. I didn't realize that the way I saw myself and the way that I really was too much different. I know that sounds really weird, but when I think about all the people that I was around and that was in my life, they were really healthy and slim and good looking. And so it's interesting that I didn't have any friends who were overweight, and that wasn't even an on-purpose thing. And so I thought that I was okay, and that was really, really, might sound strange, but it was very real. And then it wasn't until my really, really close friend of mine, he got cancer. And so for the first time I saw and really what it looks like to lose your health, and someone who is really, really fighting for it. And in times like those, it causes you to, it caused me to look at where I was and what I could do to be better. And I realized that I was really, really overweight, and it had been a thought in the past, but I thought that was just the way that I was, and so that would be the way that it always would be. Had no idea that the food that I was eating and the way that I was living was contributing so much to that. That's the level of unconsciousness I had towards my health. It was completely oblivious until, like I said, a friend of mine who had cancer got sick. And that was really my first eye-opener to doing something about it myself.
Wow. And so, I think a lot of people can relate to that, in that they're in the past or even now, they're going about their lives and they just think that everything's fine, and they just it's almost like, oh, this is the way things have always been, so this is the way they'll always be. And it's not really until something significant happens at times where we kind of wake up and we get to a point where we're like, wow, okay, something's not quite serving me here. So your friend came up with this battle, and this is where you started to have some defining moments, or some different decisions that were going on, or some different questions you were asking yourself. And so what happened next? What happened after that point, after you kind of been through that point?
Well, at the time, I didn't do anything. It was more of a realization. I didn't do anything for maybe the next, I don't know, few months, maybe longer. I went to the doctor and just for a regular checkup where I was working at the time, liked us to have regular checkups, and I thought my doctor would always weigh me right through childhood because I was always overweight, and I didn't realize that that wasn't normal, that everyone didn't get weighed when they were at the doctor, but it was because my weight was coming on so progressive, like so consistently, that he was keeping an eye on it. And one day I had to do something about my weight because I was considered obese, and that was the moment. Yeah, the word obese just did not go together very well, and so it caused me to get into immediate action straight away, if not sooner. Yeah.
Wow. So that was a big wake up for you, and I'm sure that a lot of people have found themselves in similar situations in the doctor's office, and it's almost until sometimes a person who's in a position of authority tells us something that we don't necessarily, that we don't want to hear, and something inside of us just in that moment changes, or we have this awakening, or we see things differently, or we start to grasp things differently. So I won't have you go back and relive that time in the doctor's office, but what happened next? So, after you said that you started to take immediate action. So what was through your head after you'd seen the doctor? So that point when you had the realization in the doctor's office, it was a big significant event for you. What about after? So like almost very, very soon after, within the next few hours or the next couple of days, what sort of thoughts went through your head, and what did you start doing?
Yeah, it was, oh my gosh, where do I even start? This feels so massive right now. And so I went to Weight Watchers. I went that same week, I went to a meeting, and that was the first diet I had ever looked at. And I hated being there because everyone there was really overweight, and I didn't feel like I really belonged, but my doctor had told me that I was obese, and so yeah, that was hard. So I actually I didn't go back to another meeting for quite some time. I decided to give up sugar and butter. I heard that sugar makes you fat, and I'd heard that butter contributes to getting fat as well, and there was any knowledge that I'd had, and so I cut both of them out. And when I say cut sugar and butter out, I mean I was eating a considerable amount of sugar, so a lot of energy drinks, and I used to eat a lot of bread, and I would have bread and butter. So as by default, just removing the drinks, the energy drinks out of my diet. It was the first time I'd ever lost any weight, and I didn't know that I could. I thought in the past I'd thought that that was always the way that I would be, and so that caused me to never look at losing weight. So that time was like just so unreal. It was just euphoric. I jumped on the scales and I could not believe it because I was always so used to the scales increasing. And then my boss decided that she was going to go to Weight Watchers, and I thought, well, I'm going to go again because now I have someone to go with. So I went along. It was actually really good. The out of all the diets that I've tried, and I could safely say I've tried them all, that one at least taught me about calories. It gave me an idea of how much food was coming in and how much was out. So then that's kind of where I ended, and then it was about 10 kilos in total that I lost. So I was 84 kilos at the time, and I'm 5'2". So 84 kilos was pretty round. And 10 kilos down, I just completely plateaued. There was, I had nothing. Nothing that I seemed to be able to do to lose it. It was very, very, very frustrating. So yeah, do you want me to keep going on from there, Nick, or?
Yeah, nice so far. Some really good insights there. What I noticed there was that you made the decision to do something after your doctor shared with you, after you had that moment in the doctor's office, and then that week you went to Weight Watchers, and you didn't feel like you belonged there, so you pulled out of that, but you continued taking action because you removed the sugar in the butter, and so just from doing that or making a couple of minor changes initially, those small steps, you saw some results, and
Yes.
and you also, like you said, like you felt euphoric. So it was like it was like your old beliefs were starting to become challenged. Your old beliefs of, oh well, I always, this weight gain or this body shape is just always what I always have, kind of thing. And so those were a challenge there. And then your boss said, well, that they were going to go to Weight Watchers, so you joined them, and then you learned something that was valuable for you at the time, which was around calories, how calories work. So great. I think that our members can probably relate to times when they may have learned a little bit and taken small steps forward, and then had a plateau, because I get this. The question has come many a times toward my way about how do we break through plateaus, and I think a lot of people reach these plateaus. So what did you do specifically? What happened for you then? So you'd reached your plateau, and what came next for you?
Yeah. There's this there's a saying that I've heard, that you don't know what you don't know, and that's really where I was, because I came from not knowing anything to, oh my gosh, this is totally possible. And then as soon as I had a taste of possible, I thought, oh well, now I could achieve anything. And so my own limitations actually went completely down. And then when I got to the plateau, I thought, well, hold on a second, this doesn't make sense, because I should just be able to keep doing what I have been doing and just keep going until I get there. And that wasn't the case. And so I thought, oh well, all right, I've got to do something different. And so I joined a gym, and that was another really uncomfortable place for me. I hated the thought of going into the gym. I didn't know how to use anything, and everything just looked really confusing. And the only thing that looked really familiar was a treadmill, not because I'd ever used one, but because I'd seen them on infomercials. And so I hopped on the treadmill, and I thought, well, I should probably start running. And I put it up to an average running, jogging speed. And I mustn't have been running for maybe more than a minute. And I was just absolutely exhausted. And then I thought, shivers, running is a essential part of life. If I needed to get away from something, or someone, or if ever I was put into a situation where I had to run, I could only run for 1 minute, and that was horrible. So I started running, and then I made one of the personal trainers at the gym. He introduced himself to me and encouraged me to do some personal training. And the key part with that was that he actually genuinely looked like he cared. And so that made me willing to give it a go. Plus, I was all out of ideas myself, and running on the treadmill was incredibly boring. And so he introduced me to the gym, and I had a personal trainer for the first time. And I lost a little bit, not a huge amount on the scale, but I was definitely fitter. I just didn't feel like I was making the same progression as I had done in the beginning. And I was working really hard, and so I kind of got a little bit disheartened there with that whole idea. I felt really good in the fact that I was fitter and stronger, but I felt really disheartened in the fact that I wasn't seeing much shift in the scale, and there wasn't a lot of shift in my body shape, and so that was quite disheartening.
Okay, so you took action, you reached out, you got out of your comfort zone. There's everyone's heard the saying, your dreams and goals lie just outside your comfort zone. So you So you joined the gym, which was totally out of your comfort zone, and you started running on the treadmill. You discovered that after 1 minute you couldn't. Well, it was hard for you to keep going, and then you thought, well, in a real life situation, that wouldn't be very useful. So, uh, so you reached out to a personal trainer, and you started working with them. And although you got fitter, you didn't see much change to the way that your body was shaped. And a lot of people find themselves in that situation. So this is great. We're getting lots of details here, and there's lots of, I think a lot of people can relate to your experience so far. A lot of our members can relate. So you felt like your body shape wasn't changing. You had lost a bit of weight initially, and your body shape hadn't changed much, but your fitness had gone all the way up. So what happened next for you?
So then the gym actually closed down, and I mean this was maybe, I don't know, maybe a year I was there, and over the year I couldn't even tell you in kilos, maybe over a year 5 kilos maybe that I'd lost. So, and I didn't really consider that very significant, but when I looked at it over the course of maybe 12 months, if that's how long it was, it seemed very, very slow. And so I ended up joining Les Mills, and I thought, well, I'm going to get another personal trainer because I need someone to motivate me because I hate exercise, and I actually still did not find it enjoyable because I wasn't getting results, and that was the main reason why I was exercising. And I didn't feel really that coordinated. I felt really unco, and everyone at Les Mills was so beautiful, and so I thought, well, I'm going to pick the best looking personal trainer that I can find, and that'll make me work harder. And did it what? And so I was training really hard. I was doing weights a week and boxing once a week with him. So I was training 3 times a week. And then I was also going to the gym on the in-between days to just do some cardio. And I was also playing netball. So I was really, really active, and I got really strong. And I actually started to really enjoy the weights side of things, which is really different for me. And yeah, and then what happened? I kind of just gave up on the whole losing weight thing, actually. I stopped focusing on it. I was out of the obese end of my weight, and so I just quit thinking about it because it didn't seem like I could make any. It didn't matter how hard I slogged it out. Just wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't doing anything. So I actually it was probably about 3 years actually, and then I moved to Christchurch when I met Nick, my husband. And actually, Nick, that's where you come in. About that time, I met you, and I liked your passion for training. I really liked your passion for education, and seeing as I had so little, I decided to start training with you. And that was actually where I had a big shift because I was getting married, and needed to get a wedding dress, and the wedding dress that I really wanted was $2,500, and the exact same wedding dress but 2 sizes down than what I was $500, and they only had it in that size as a size 10, and I thought, well, I don't want to spend $2,500 on a dress. I can't afford to spend $2,500 on a dress, but I want that one. I need to get into the size 10, and you seemed to sound like you knew what you were doing, and so that's when I started training with you.
Gotcha. And just for the members who are listening to this interview, she's not talking about Nick in third person. There's 2 Nicks she's referring to: Nick, her husband, and then Nick, me. Yeah, 2 separate. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to just go rewind slightly to where you were exercising a lot. You had the 3 personal training sessions at Les Mills. You had your netball, and you were doing other cardio outside of your personal training sessions as well. And then you said that you just quit thinking about exercise. So what, if you were to go back to that time and jump into your body in that time, what was going through your mind? Like, what caused you to stop after you were exercising so much?
Well, I didn't stop exercising. I stopped exercising so much. I started with a personal trainer. I just didn't feel any passion anymore. I felt like I was good enough at exercise to be able to go myself and not need someone there to hold me. And so I actually, I was training less frequently. But what was going through my head was, well, I'm exercising this hard, like banging your head against a brick wall, is about how I would explain it. And I was sick of banging my head against a brick wall because I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. And so I just quit thinking about it. It was hurting, banging my head against the wall. So I just stopped exercising to lose weight, and I just did it because I enjoyed it, and I continued to not get results for quite some time, but it seemed safer. It seemed a safer place for me mentally to just quit thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people get into that place where they are exercising a lot, where they're going, God, I'm doing so much work, but I don't understand why I'm not getting these results that I want, and how can I find a way to how can I find a way to get results? Or if I'm not already getting the results that I want, then what then? And sometimes just that pain of the actual physical pain of the exercise, if it's pretty intense exercise, and or the pain of not getting the results that you're looking for. Because I know that I'm pretty sure the results you're referring to is additional body change, so adding on to the results that you had got in the past, which you weren't getting from all this exercise. So I think so I'll let you continue on. So you've reached Christchurch, and this is where you met your now husband Nick, or you'd met before that, but this is where you moved to Christchurch. So you guys were closer together, and then you got in touch with me, and so we got in touch. You're getting married, yeah. And you had this wedding dress, this size 10 wedding dress that you wanted to fit into. So you knew that you were getting married, and then you reached out to me, and we connected, and then you had the wedding dress that you wanted to fit in. So is that where we're up to?
That's right. That's where we're up to. I hadn't yet decided that that dress that I was going to get sort of too sure whether I'd be able to do it. It was really uncertain about whether I was able to do it. But I was open because I was getting married, and it was going to save me and talking, and we were quite good friends at the time, so we were spending a bit of time with each other, and one day what I was eating, what my nutrition was like, and this is before we started training together, and you got me to keep a food journal, and then you had a look at what I was eating and suggested to me that you actually did really well. You showed me how much of my diet was carbohydrate based, and that I might be having some problems with my sensitivity to insulin. And honestly, when I heard that it was something, and that I wasn't crazy, or that I wasn't, I was really, really glad to hear that it was that someone had an answer for something that made sense, and I thought, well, I'll go with this guy. And you said you'd train me as well, and that you'd help me out with my nutrition and give me some pointers. And and it totally, the short version is that it completely worked, and I got into that size 10 dress, and that's where actually my passion for wanting to help people out with nutrition specifically came from, because I thought, wow, if I look back at how much I didn't know, and how much I continued to sort of not know that I didn't know, how many other people are in the same boat? How many other people, don't know the effect that food has on the body. How many other people are slogging it out with exercise, you know, day in and day out, not getting results. And so that's when I decided to look into a career change and to delve more into nutrition. And I didn't start that until after I got married, but
We're just waiting for that mobile to come back.
Are you there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's okay. Well, so the nutrition side, you didn't start to get into that until after you were married, yeah?
No, a career. Yeah. And during that whole process, I can't remember how frequently I was training.
We're getting a bit of blackout at the moment, just with your connection there. The last minute or so, we're
Oh, really?
we're losing you. Yeah, we just lost your voice for about a minute or so. Then,
Okay.
yeah.
Still log out and then log back in.
I'm not sure if that'll help. Sometimes it's just a time thing. Sometimes I don't know. Should be all right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So last I heard was that last I said was that you got married and then you started to get more into helping people with their nutrition or with their health and that sort of thing. You got more passionate about sharing the health side of things with people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. Let's rewind a little bit to when you were uncertain, before uncertain on whether you would fit in the dress or not. A lot of people go through times of uncertainty and doubt, and they doubt themselves and these types of things. What sort of self-talk, if you were to go back to that time and step into your body, or when you had that kind of uncertainty about whether you'd fit in the dress or not, what sort of thoughts were going through your head at the time?
Do I want to revisit this? Do I revisit this? Is it possible? Am I going to be disappointed? What if I fail? Yeah, I don't want it to be a whole bunch of negativity around me getting around this whole dress experience. Not how I imagined my wedding. And then I just thought, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't spend too much time actually thinking the whole what if, because after you had, I thought someone would know. I'm not the only one out there, and it's a big world. There's a little Christchurch, but it's a big world. Someone out there will be able to help me. I just need to ask. Maybe I need to ask better questions. And so I just started talking about it more. I was thinking about it a lot, and so I just decided to be a bit more vocal about it. Someone will be able to point me in the right direction. Someone will be able to help me. And so I spent less time actually thinking about what if it doesn't happen, and just more, I suppose optimistic sounds too airy-fairy, but I needed to have that. I needed to have what I wanted, and the other way of thinking wasn't going to serve me.
Good. So the other way of focusing on the doubt and I don't want to be disappointed, I don't know if this will, those types of uncertain thoughts, you realize that those weren't serving you at all. So you switched over to thoughts that would serve you. Of I'm going to find the answers. I'm going to find the person that I need to get the answers, or I'm going to find the information somehow. So you had that going instead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice. think that's really testament to redirecting your focus. And all of us have had times where we've come up against challenge or adversity in our lives, and we think, we really, I think, I mean, a lot of Tony Robbins is known for saying it's not about what happens to us that matters, it's about how we deal with what happens to us. And I really like that because it's about where we redirect our focus. We can focus on, oh God, what's going on here? Please, I need some help from somewhere, and you're kind of focusing on the negative, or you can focus on the positive and look at, asking questions that are going to help to develop solutions. And so it all depends on where we redirect our focus. So instead of focusing on the what ifs, as far as uncertainty goes, you focused on the what could I create as far as finding answers. So that's big, because a lot of people reach that point that you were at with the uncertainty, and the uncertainty takes over because all they focus on is the uncertainty. So so focusing on what you could be certain about, which is, it is a big world, but this is a smaller place, and I'm sure that I'll find somebody who has the answers. That's something that you can be more certain about because it's within your control, whereas the doubt and the uncertainty is out of our control to a large extent, other than whether we focus on it or not. So I think that's really awesome. That's a really there's some of these pivotal moments, these decisions that we make in our lives that, had we made differently, then our life would be completely different than what it is now. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. And had you thought differently at that time and not, and focused your thoughts on the uncertainty, I'm sure that your life would be a lot different than what it is now. So it's quite amazing when you think about it that way. So you got past that point. I remember you worked your ass off. So it wasn't just, happy.
Literally.
Literally. And so, and I remember, for you guys listening, I remember Tarryn, I remember her in the studio, and she would have this focus and determination in her eyes, and I could just tell that she would do whatever it took to reach her goal, and that the only thing she was focusing on was the end result. And she would constantly picture that end result in her mind, and I knew she was doing it because she would defocus and do all sorts of things. And so if you're at a point where you don't have all the answers yet, then I think it's really valuable that you focus on how you can find the answers that you want and how you can find the solutions, and focus on the outcome that you want to achieve, and get really clear on it. Paint a clear picture, really grasp it, make it really solid, and really listen clearly to what you're saying to yourself about that outcome and whatever sounds that you notice as a result of when you actually achieve that outcome. So you achieved the outcome, Tarryn. How did that feel when you finally when the journey was kind of said and done, as far as that phase of your journey, and it was, whether it was on that day or whether it was after, did you have any moments where you were like, whoa, or what was that like for you, where you realized you'd achieved your outcome that you wanted?
It was, I remember when I tried my dress on, and it fitted me. I got into it the week before the wedding, was when I got into it before that, but I felt comfortable in it the week before. And, well, I was stoked. Well, you were my new best friend. And, so I just thought the sun shone out of your backside. And, I was just so grateful. And not only that, but I felt really empowered. I felt like, I felt grateful and empowered, which were two things that I really wanted to help other people to feel. And there was actually, if you don't mind, Nick, if I could just go back just slightly to another real pivotal moment that happened during that same time of me getting into the dress. I had no problems working hard, and I'll admit to you, I'm a lazy person. I'm always for the least line of resistance, but I will work hard as well, and I think that that's probably quite common for a lot of people. If you have in mind what you want, and you know what, and there's a plan to get it, then you actually don't mind working hard. I think when there's lack of clarity is when you can kind of, talk yourself into thinking that you're a lazy person. And I don't really believe that that's true. So the pivotal moment was that I was so hell bent on getting into the stress or achieving my goal finally, because I was seeing results. I would look at myself in the mirror every day. I'd get down into my undies and into my bra, and I'd just look in the mirror, and I just couldn't see any changes. And I called you, and before one of our training sessions, Nick, and I said, look, I'm doing everything that you say. I'm following the plan, and I don't think that I'm getting results again. I think maybe I've stopped. What should I do? And so you said, hey, look, just come on over. And so we had a training session, and so I came over, and I didn't know exactly what we were going to do, but we weren't training that day, and we sat in front of your computer, and we started talking about goals, and you were showing me pictures of fitness models, and I was like, well, I don't know if I really want to be a fitness model, I don't really want to set that kind of a goal, although I do believe in setting a goal. So as you were showing me these pictures, they started off, and then you said, do you want to have a look at what they looked like before? And so we went back, and you showed me their progression shot, and they were overweight. And then as they, got into training and started eating better, they were getting leaner and leaner. And the progression shots were maybe at about the fourth or fifth one, and they looked awesome. They looked really, really great. And then you said, do you want to have a look at the progression shots from here? And in my mind, I thought that was the end, but they actually kept going. And you showed me the next picture, and I thought, yeah, probably a bit too skinny, but she still looks good. And then there was another picture, and I thought, wow, she looks better before. And then you showed me the next picture, and she looked really unhealthy and awful, and there's no way that you would look at that person and want to look like her. And then you started talking to me about what it is that I was really seeing, and was it what was real, or was it in my head? And that was such a pivotal moment, because I'd seen myself in, as overweight for so long. I kept seeing myself in that way, and it caused me to not be able to actually see what had really changed, and because I was committed to working so hard, and I was focusing so much on the working hard and how I looked rather than how it really was. And I went home that day after that session, and I got down to my undies and my bra, and I swear to you, I looked in the mirror and I saw something different. It was unreal.
Wow. I almost forgot about that. Not because it's not important, but because there is so much that goes on in the transformation process and it's interesting what you shared there, because it had gone over my head as far as because that time when we worked together was quite some time ago, but it almost feels like yesterday when you're sharing that with me, and it's not uncommon. I think for you guys listening, I always used to say that it takes a while for the mind to catch up to the body, and I'm pretty sure that's what I said to you, Tarryn.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah, after showing you those pictures. So, big lesson there, guys, is that if you have made changes to yourself or not made changes to yourself, then your perception of how you look will be dependent based upon your beliefs of yourself. And sometimes it takes, for everybody it's different. For Tarryn, it took her to see to see some other people's transformations and to see it, because she's quite visual, to see it from a different perspective of another person's transformation, and then for her to reflect that back on her own experience. Other people really need to grasp the concept of body change and body image, and the best way that I can do that is if you were to do this now, if you were to just do this now really quickly, if you were to close your eyes, and as you're closing your eyes, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to just think of everything that's red. And as you think of red, I'd like you to open your eyes and notice everything that's red in the room. And as you look around and notice everything that's red, everything that's red, everything that's red, and then close your eyes. Now I'd like you to tell me everything that was green. It's really difficult. And chances are you can't name more than one or two green things, if any. And the reason for that is that the human experience, as we go through our lives, we delete, distort, and generalize information based upon our beliefs. And so we do the same for our body, for our reflection. And the challenge is that if we grow up believing that we're overweight, then it doesn't matter how much body change we create, we'll always look in the mirror and see ourselves as overweight until we change our beliefs about ourselves. We change the story about ourselves. We change we have a significant emotional event or something emotionally hits us where we decide to change the way we're looking at ourselves. Because the mirror reflection that we see is not a true reflection, it's a distortion. And this is prevalent in people who are very, very challenged in the areas of, say, anorexia or body dysmorphia in the case of bodybuilders. And that a lot of the time, body image is not always reflected based on the truth, but based on our perception of what we think the truth is. So I think this is thank you for mentioning that, Tarryn. That's a really useful key point to bring up, that a lot of people are probably scratching their heads going, but how do I change? How do I change the way I see my body? And for you, Tarryn, it was, you were able to go ahead and do that because usually for most of us as human beings, we don't change our beliefs until we have a significant emotional event occur. And so I'm guessing that Tarryn, you had some type of emotions kicked in when you saw the pictures of the other woman, and then when you went home and around that time you probably had some type of emotional experience. Right, yeah. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so without the significant emotional experience, typically our beliefs don't change. So I'm not saying that you need to go out and put yourself on a limb and put yourself into an emotional experience. What I'm saying is that if the emotional experience doesn't occur, then you're not going to change the way you look at yourself. And the problem is most people have a lot of people have more negative experiences associated with their body than they have positive. And then they just perpetuate that. So it goes from looking at their face or their body and beating themselves up for a body part, and then it gets worse, and eventually it just becomes a whole negative cycle of the body versus seeing your mirror reflection as what it actually is. The other way that people can change, other than an emotional significant experience, is having some work done with, say, NLP or some belief system change, making changes to perception, and it can be quite a deep topic at times. So, but thanks for bringing that up, Tarryn. I know that you changed your story in that way, and that's fantastic. Thanks for bringing that up. So now,
really valuable.
Fantastic. So leading on now. So I mean, the wedding was quite some time ago. You had that big victory, and there was the week before you tried on your dress, and then it was the wedding day, you tried your dress on, and there was these mini victories. So how have things been going since then? Because I know that that's a number of years ago. So how have things progressed for you since you had that kind of some of those bigger pivotal moments?
You mean for me personally and where I am physically, you mean?
Yeah, like how's your lifestyle now? How's it been over the last couple of years? And then we can lead into a little bit about we can go into a bit about what you're doing as far as your business goes.
Yeah. Well, it was uh, it was a journey right through until right up here, and I don't the journey doesn't end. It just is a continuously evolving process, I think. And so I had these ideas of, after I got married and wanted to help other people become empowered and so forth. I set other mini goals for myself as well. I set fitness goals. I set exercise goals. I really wanted to be able to do push-ups properly, like on my toes. And so I set goals as small as that and achieved them. And then I'd set another goal, like I want to be able to run up until this point without stopping up a hill. So I set lots of mini goals that would encourage me to continue to feel successful. I just so believed in the whole psychology of things after that experience with you. And so I realized that the whole journey was not so much about nutrition and not so much about exercise, as much credit as I had given it, is actually so much to do with psychology of things. And so I started reading a lot, and I went to some NLP courses, and it was around that time that we were having a lot of conversations about NLP, Nick. So I think it's so fitting that you have skills there, because you so understood the psychology, and so I started to set bigger goals. Like, I really had this idea of how I wanted to look, and I wanted to look really fit, and I wanted to be able to see some muscle definition, and I wanted to be able to lift my own body weight. I wanted to be able to do pull-ups, and yeah, so the habits that I set in place were around reading. I made sure that I read every day. That was and still is a part of my day. And I just continued to be, or try and stay in a place of learning, so that I was just always open to information and to the fact that the learning process doesn't really end. You just keep learning. Nutrition is forever evolving in that area as well. And just continue to set habits around how my day would go. So habits around what foods that I would eat on only weekends, and that I would not, because you're talking to a former fatty here, and I was so used to eating whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. And so I needed to get some control, like set, I guess, some boundaries in place of how frequently during the week I would eat sugar or desserts and things. So yeah, just set lots of little disciplines. And sometimes people might view that as, wow, that sounds really, like there are a lot of rules in place. But I thought about the way that I saw myself, and I thought about the way that I really was. And I sort of felt that there was a little bit of an incongruency. So I decided to meet people who looked and lived like how I wanted, and start to really look at what they were doing and how they were living and what their daily actions were. And those people looked like how I wanted to look. They had a different set of values than I had. They really enjoyed and had disciplines around good food, and they really enjoyed and had really good disciplines around exercise. And so I thought, yeah, I need to improve in those areas, or learn to value them in that same way, which made me more disciplined in those areas. And so I guess the more disciplined that I've become, the more that my body reflects that. And as a result of that, the type of clients that I attract have changed as well. So everything's connected to everything. It's crazy. But yeah, does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah, of course. There's no wrong or right here. We're just chatting. So no, that's great. Um, the journey never ends. You're always hungry for more knowledge, always learning, reading every day. You set small goals, um, different goals with exercise and fitness and these things. Um, and I'm guessing you set body goals as well because you said that you wanted to look more muscular at the time. Did you write these goals down, or did you mentally take a mental note, or how did you set your goals?
So written down. Yeah.
Hmm.
So written down. Definitely not just in my head. Yeah, and I put them on my fridge. I put them in the toilet, on the toilet door. Put them on the dashboard of my car. Especially the big ones. The little ones I didn't write down. Wanting to be able to do a press up, wanting to be able to do a pull up. I didn't write those ones down. I wrote down the big ones. The wanting to put on X amount of muscle, or wanting to lose this much, or wanting to be able to do like run this far in this time. When they were medium to large size goals, they were always written down. The ones in between, the stepping stone ones, not so much.
Mm, mm. Good. I think the takeaway from that as well is if you're setting goals, um, yeah, don't just set them in your head and then be gone with them, because that's what we call resolutions, and they become, well, we all know what happens in years, resolutions. So anyway, um, so good. So you wrote your goals down, and then you had them in places where you would regularly see them, where you would regularly remind yourself that they were goals, that those goals were there. Um, and so that's excellent. I think Tarryn just dropped off for a moment, so I'm sure she'll log back in any moment now. So I'll just keep talking. Um, good. So I noticed you dropped out. That's okay. I'm still talking.
Sorry, Nick.
So
Yeah.
that's all right. All good. So there's some really good takeaways from there. Um, and so let's hear, how are you going now today in this present day. Well, what does your lifestyle look like? How can you draw people a picture of what your lifestyle is like, and how you picture your body, and your fitness results, and what's your lifestyle you're like now?
Well, I wake up and I have breakfast, and well, so me and we've got a ritual. It's crazy, but we realise that we can't control absolutely everything in the day, but we can certainly control what happens as soon as we wake up, and we can control exactly what happens before we go to bed. So Nick and I have a morning ritual. We get up together, we make breakfast, we take it back to bed, we eat breakfast because we always like the idea of having breakfast in bed, and then it's a proper breakfast. It's like a cooked breakfast, and that really sets us up for the day. And then we read for 20 minutes, and then we go to the gym and we work out. So because we're self-employed, we designed our day, and that always starts in that way. And then when we leave, we go to the gym, we work out, and we work out together sometimes, and sometimes I'll work out with some of the other people from the gym, some other girls that kind of don't feel so empowered in the gym as far as weights and things. So I might work out with them, but I'm usually working out with somebody because I enjoy talking to people. And then after that, I see clients. So I'll see my clients all day, and I have my food prepared. So I do that the night before. I know what I'm having, and so that the next day when I wake up, I don't have to spend any time in the morning actually preparing. So I would have already had that prepared, and then I know what I'm eating. And then at the end of the day, I head home, and Nick has usually prepared dinner because he gets home before I do. And actually another thing we do is we plan our groceries. It helps us budget better. We kind of don't really think about what we're eating the night before. We've planned it out for the week so that we can, otherwise we spend too much money on food because we love it so much. So that's another thing that we do. And so I'll train. I'll work out 5 days a week. I'll have 2 rest days on a Wednesday and on a Saturday. And yeah, some days I train really, really hard, and other days I'll train just like an active recovery day. And yeah, and then at the end of the day, what we call bookending, we've got some good kind of boundaries in place with the television, because I use TV as a real, it's a real good strategy for me to just kind of tune out. So instead, we'll either read or watch something that is like personal development. So someone who's been successful in an area. That's kind of where I watch like a lot of athletes, or I'll watch something about CrossFit, or I'll watch something really cool about exercise, and then we'll head to bed, and then we read, but we only read for 10 minutes, and then that's kind of how we bookend the day.
Great. I think that really drew a really clear picture for a lot of people, and for you guys, I'm sure that you can grasp that quite well. So there's ritual. There's a bit of a ritual in the morning there. There's the proper breakfast, the real breakfast. Then there's the exercise. The meals are planned out, so there's some planning there before the week started, along with the groceries that are planned, and then there's the kind of wind down towards the end of the day. So fantastic, nice. So and so I can tell that you're really passionate about what you do, that you really love your health and fitness lifestyle, and that you're really getting the most from it. But how are you helping other people now? So this is kind of your opportunity to share about how you're making a difference now after going through your own journey and the journey that you're on now, and where people can kind of reach you for more information and connect with you and that sort of thing. In case I can't hear you at the moment either, so maybe the speaker button is playing up. Oh, okay, so Tarryn just dropped off. So at the end of her day, she gets home. She's usually dinner's already pre-prepared, so it's not out of a box or a takeaway. And then she's going through something inspirational or some like motivational type material, and then it's a bit of reading, and then that sort of thing, and that's the day wrapped up. So Tarryn, now's your opportunity to share with everybody kind of how you're making a difference now after transforming your own health, and how you're impacting the lives of others, and to share how people can connect with you, and to share a little bit about your what you're doing as far as your business and that sort of thing goes.
Yeah, for sure. So I work, my company is called Generation Health, and what we do is oh, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so how I work with people is we've developed a 6-week program. It's actually a nutrition course, and what we do is we teach people about nutrition. So education, as you can tell through my journey, was a really, really high value. And like when I received just that, that little bit of education that you gave me, Nick, it changed everything. And so that's when I became really hungry for it. And so that's how we work with people for 6 weeks. Nutrition education, we focus on 6 topics. We focus on liver health and the function of the liver. We focus on exercise and how the body uses fuel. Good understanding of carbohydrates, proteins and fats and what they are. And also fiber and health. And so we go right the way through it in the course. I believe that when you understand, when you have a good understanding of how these things work, we can use that information within our goal setting. And understanding what happens within your body and how your hormones change that and affect that just really makes the process of, say, losing weight, for example, a much clearer. So you have a lot more clarity around setting those goals and you achieve and being able to future goals. And so our website is generationhealth.co.nz, and our email address is info@generationhealth.co.nz. And so what I'll offer to you guys is that I'll do a consultation that's at no cost, and so it's a 45-minute, 1-hour consultation, and we'll do that via Skype. Just because I think the fact that Nick's online, Nick, are all your clients in Australia, or are they around?
Some of them are all over the show, so
Yeah.
so yeah, Skype.
Yeah. So yeah. So Skype is how I have an office, and so I work from there. But I also have clients in the UK, in Christchurch, in Wellington, and in Australia. So I do run those calls via Skype. Yeah. So if there's any uncertainty about the nutrition aspect of where you are, then I'd love to help you out. Just go onto our website and hit the Contact Us button, and then they'll send it out to me, and then I'll be in touch.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Tarryn. So you guys can reach Tarryn at her and her husband Nick's company, Generation Health, which is generationhealth.co.nz, or info@generationhealth.co.nz. And she's offering a 45-minute to an hour Skype consultation to help you to reach your goals in the nutrition area faster. Fantastic. Very kind of you, Tarryn. Is there anything you'd like to add before we sign off on the interview?
Yeah. No, actually, yeah. Once again, thanks, Nick, for the opportunity to share my story. I love sharing it, and yeah. No, I look forward to meeting any of you if you do decide to get in touch. So thanks again, and yeah, maybe meet with you soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tarryn. Thanks, guys, and we'll catch you again very soon.